So hi, this is Karan. Today we have Rukmini Vijaykumar, friend of mine for a while. Rukmini is an actor, is a dancer primarily. Shouldn't have said actor first, but she's also a theatre personality. You know her from having been in lots of ads and so on and so forth. But today we're going to talk about her love for dance, which is her first love, and she's been doing this for a very long time. I still debate with Ruku about the fact that I came for her Arangetram and she says, no, you came for another performance, but Arangetram was before that. I know that you do so many different things, right? I mean, you do dance and you're constantly traveling and you're traveling in India, you're traveling overseas, so on and so forth. And doing so many things, and I know on any given day, I know that you like rehearse for at least 6-7 hours every day and you push yourself so much. First thing, why do you push yourself so much and why do you do it?
Because it makes me happy.
Because it makes you happy. And how long have you been doing? I mean, just tell us a little bit about dance itself. You've been doing a lot of different things. So
Dancing, I think I started dancing when I was 4 or 5, and I always did it as a hobby in school. I was more of a nerd at the time, so I never considered dance as a viable full-time profession.
Okay.
Until after high school and after I got into a nerd school.
Okay.
Then I deferred 3 times and decided to apply to dance school.
Okay.
And so that's when I actually took it up full time. And this was in, I think, 2002, something like that.
2002 is when you went away to dance school for a couple of years.
I went to dance school in 2004, 4 to 8. But about 2 years, like after high school and before going away to dance school, I had about two years where I was got into Carnegie Mellon. Yeah, I got into Carnegie Mellon for architecture, and then I was deciding whether to do that or go to dance school.
So if not a dancer, you're an architect.
Yeah.
So do you still have an interest in architecture, etc.?
When I was in dance school, I took some courses. You know, there are all these colleges around the site that have open courses.
Mm-hmm.
So I took design drawing and architectural design drawing, and math and physics, whatever, just random other courses. So it's interesting. And I guess I'm an architect of space in some way.
Yeah, on that platform in front of everyone else.
Yeah, so it interests me, but I don't think I could have been anything other than dance.
So how long have you been learning dance then?
Since I was 5 or 6.
Since you were 5 or 6. So it's been a while. And where did you go and study dance? And why did you, I mean, you were weighing your options and you're trying to see whether you become an architect or you do something else. I'm sure there must have been other things also in between. I know that you have an interest in painting, etc. But, where did you go and why did you pick that particular school for dance?
After 2 years of deferring my admission into architecture school, I picked architecture because I love painting and I loved physics and math. So I thought physics, math, painting, architecture.
Okay.
So that was my 2 and 2 together, and I applied. But since I deferred 2 years because largely I think my mother and my parents didn't want to send me away to college when I was 17.
Okay.
So at that time I started dancing a lot more because I was here, and I went to Raadha Kalpa for 1 year.
Okay.
Because I decided if I'm staying back, I'm not going to sit at home. So at that time, I had a lot more time to dance. So I started doing ballet again. I doubled up my Bharatanatyam classes. I went to yoga. I was literally doing things the whole day. And a year after that painting school, I didn't even go to any school then, and I was just dancing. 6 a.m. yoga, then 1 Bharatanatyam class, then ballet class for 2 hours, then the other Bharatanatyam class, then rehearsals, and then...
As far as I know, she still does this all the time. So.
I can't even, not as much, but then So the day was packed with dancing, and I applied only to 3 schools. One of which rejected me, and I said, I'll apply to 3 schools. This is my first choice, but the Boston Conservatory was my first choice. And I said, if they reject me, that means some other power is saying, don't be a dancer, just go and study and be an architect.
Okay.
So at that time when I applied, I got in. I don't even know how actually. I think I was behind on ballet. Everybody else continuously did it from my level 3. But I dabbled in it when I was 5 or 6 for a year maybe, and then I didn't do ballet at all until I was 16 or 17 again. So I got in, I was like, okay,
And then
maybe I can be an dancer.
dance happened for, I mean, you studied it for 4 years, you lived in Boston, that must have been an experience in itself, and then you decided to come back. I mean, was that a logical choice or?
No, that was a decision I made. Because after college, I went to New York. I auditioned in some places, and my choice would have either been on Broadway or in a smaller modern company.
Okay.
And most modern companies don't have funding like arts and this thing and all in general. And in Broadway, I wouldn't have gotten a lead because I'm not a good singer. I can act and I can dance, but I can't sing. Definitely not on Broadway as well. So, and I don't think I would have been happy doing the same show for 2 years. I mean, a lot of people are cut out for that, and I'm not. And I would have also had to sacrifice my classical Indian dance.
And that's something you've been doing since you were...
That's something I was not prepared to do.
Okay.
And assessing for myself and weighing my options, I thought I'm a much better classical Indian dancer than on an international perspective, on a world perspective. It's not whether in Bangalore I'm a good contemporary dancer or in somewhere else. Like what I can put on a world stage. And my Bharatanatyam, I'm much stronger, I feel. And I love modern and I love contemporary, and I do it all the time, even now. But being a judging person of myself, I think I'm stronger in my Bharatanatyam choreography and my thing and everything.
And since coming back over the last 4 years, you performed a lot in lots of different places, and you've even gone back and you performed in New York, and the New York Times has, if I'm not mistaken, described Rukku as poetry in motion, amongst other things. So, tell us about some of the highlights of the last couple of years in Indian dance, Indian classical as also contemporary.
In contemporary, in the last couple of years, one thing that changed my vocabulary was the residency I did at Gati.
At Gati, which is in Delhi.
Yeah, in Delhi for 3 months. And it gave me, I was dancing 5, 6 hours, 8 hours alone in the studio. Working on my vocabulary of movement and redoing, rethinking, and I think that was a big thing for me as a personal journey. And it's a lot to take away from that work that I did in that 3 months. And for Bharatanatyam, I think a lot of it has come from being my own critic, because both my teachers passed away. And I haven't had them for about 6-7 years now.
Who were your teachers?
Guru Narmada and Sundari Santanam. Both their styles are very different. Sundari Santanam works on Karanas, which is Dr. Padma Subramaniam's research and work. And it's the old tradition or style of movement according to Indian classical dance. It comes from the Natya Shastra. And Narmada is a Tanjavur tradition.
Okay.
That being said, as a dancer myself, they were both supportive of my individual growth. So I don't think I can say I'm a Tanjavur or Varvur or Vandanalur or any particular style, because I the difference in styles is how you approach the movement sometimes, and sometimes I approach it differently depending on the piece. So I think I've found my way of movement in terms of how I feel like doing it for that particular piece. So you might see something that looks very Kalaksheta and suddenly something that looks very Subramaniam.
Okay. So I mean, in being your own critique, you've also, and because you have a classical background and you also trained as a contemporary dancer, and being your own critique, you've had to sort of develop your own language in your own movement, understanding your own body, and then expressing that through either contemporary or classical.
Yeah. I kept both fairly separate. My Bharatanatyam work is Bharatanatyam, and my contemporary work is contemporary.
Okay.
So I don't do much fusion in terms of, I don't
Mixing
like
the
that
two.
word actually, fusion.
Why?
Because, I don't know, I feel like it's short selling both
Okay.
the contemporary and the Bharatanatyam. Maybe, I don't know.
Maybe it works for some, but it doesn't.
Yeah,
it's not all.
I've not felt okay with it, and I've seen some pieces which use both that are beautiful. But I just haven't done it yet. Let's say, and I don't know. It's so with Bharatanatyam, it's been a long, worthwhile journey, as with contemporary and with dance in general. But
Well, what have been the highlights? I mean, in terms of performances or performing for someone?
performances. Last year I did my first group production tour of the US.
Okay.
So that's been a big highlight in my career, I think.
And as I understand, you might be doing that again.
Yeah, I'm doing it again this year, end of this year.
Okay.
And I did it for Infoseva,
Okay.
a charity. And they liked it, so we're doing it again. And this time the US and Dubai and probably Australia as well. But that was the first time I administratively, choreographically, artistically, from makeup to costumes to music and design and lyrics and everything I had to do, which is something I've done before, but I haven't done it on such a large scale.
Okay.
And toured internationally with the group. So
okay.
that was a highlight.
And
Then-
solo highlights maybe?
Jacob's Pillow. I think when I got the acceptance letter, I was just jumping with joy. So that was my first, and obviously the one in New York. And
That was an invitation again by
yeah, that was from Indo-American Arts
Okay.
Council. And I also had one, I don't know, for me personally, in terms of performance highlight, like what I felt was good for me was this performance in the Nartanjali in Tanjavur. Maybe it's the history of the place, the fact that it was overwhelming, and then the breeze was blowing, and then this
Okay.
huge temple was behind me. So that was not last year, it was the year before last.
Okay.
And I did that. So.
like a typical Indian picture postcard kind of thing.
Yeah, it was, I don't know, I really,
Enjoyed it.
I enjoyed that thing. And the other big moment for me as a person, there are moments on stage that you remember, was my performance in NGMA of Radio Burma
Okay.
as theatre.
It's a theatre piece, yeah.
And I think I had a big breakthrough for myself, and I'll always remember it.
Okay.
And I felt rage.
You felt rage.
Yeah, which I don't think as a person I've ever experienced even in real life.
You don't look like you express that too much or
With
yeah,
a
but-
good, yeah. So performance wise, those are my big things, and personal journey wise was my Kati thing as movement, yeah, on my own.
So now, I mean, you've been fortunate to, you've had a great, say, dance education, etc. And then you also performed, in so many different places. But what is it like for a young dancer, Because as I understand, some of these things, like having a great education in the States on dance, I mean, you might get a grant or a scholarship or something, or if not, you might have to pay for it. But, some people might not have that opportunity. And even when it comes to performing in so many places. So how much of that is I don't know, pure dedication to being a great performer, and or how much of that is just luck? How much of that is dependent on I don't know. Sometimes does it matter that you know the right people in the right places, or they know you? What are the kind of questions you get asked by young dancers?
I mean, young dancers, when they ask me, most of them ask me like, where do you get your costume done, or where do you do your this thing, or I love your makeup, or your splits were great, and how do you get flexible and things like that. And sometimes I wish they would ask me, how many hours do you practice?
How many hours do you practice?
I don't know, 7, 8, 9. If I'm home, I dance as much as I can. Like today, I woke up at 6 and I danced until I had to leave to come here to meet you.
And it's 4:30 now.
And I'll go back and I'll do all my other things like my Pilates and yoga. So when traveling, it's difficult to do that. But in your training years, that is all I did. I didn't care whether I got on stage or whether I didn't or whether I performed. And I would just put it off, like, because I kept thinking I'm not ready. Like almost 2 years, I didn't want to perform. I didn't want to be on stage because I kept thinking I have to get better. I have to get better. I kept dancing alone.
And for those 2 years, every day it was that 8, 10, 12, 14 hours of
that's
pushing
it,
yourself.
just pushing myself. And I think if it wasn't for my mother, I would still just be doing that. Just being in the studio dancing all day. And sometimes I guess because of her, she'd be like, you need to perform. Okay? You need to get out and not just dance alone by yourself. And, so she applied in places, and I think my teachers did that when I was younger.
So that support system makes a big difference.
Support system makes a big difference, And
but then even if, flip side is sometimes people don't have the support. That person you need, from you.
You have to. See, now I have to do it. And there are days when you'll apply, like I used to sit, like after I realized I need to perform as a dancer, I used to sit on, look for festivals, look for things, and you'll send out letters to like 20, 25, 30 places, and nobody will even respond. And it's not then, it happens even now. And it's, fortunately for me, now people call me. And a lot of people call me. But there are many festivals where I do want to dance, where they haven't called me. And I still apply and I'll send them and I'll call them. And many times they don't respond because it does depend on who you know and where and who. And my teachers haven't been around for a long time too. And my teachers were never the ones who
would put in a word.
Who would go out and talk and say my student. They were never that sort at all. So
their belief was you have to earn it and you have to do it.
Yeah, and you know what? Hard work will come around. No matter how many times people say, yeah, I've gone, and you have empty audiences, and whatever happens, you work towards loving your art despite and in spite, and then you'll always be happy. Okay. And like my acting teacher always used to tell me, like, love the art in you, not yourself in the art. So, and I didn't understand it before, and then now I realize that it doesn't matter. Like even if I were never to perform another day in my life, I would still dance every day. And I think that's what you need to find.
Okay. Fantastic. Anything lastly that you want to suggest? Share with an aspiring dancer or someone else in performing arts looking to get out there. It's inspiring that you pushed yourself so much, but anything else?
Other than that, I would say that I think there'll be days when you're tired, there'll be days when you come back from a performance and people will get a bad review or and I think that you shouldn't worry about that as long as you believe in what you're doing.
Okay.
And you've done your best. And that's what's important. And you must always strive to do your best. It's the same thing, even if sometimes you would have done okay, and everyone will say, "Wow, such a great show! You did so well," but you know that you didn't do your best. So you're the best judge and critique of yourself, and you must always be able to find the wrong in you in order to become better.
Go beyond.
Yeah. So, yeah, just keep dancing and dance your way through life.
Okay. Fantastic. On that happy note, thank you, Raghu. And I look forward to hearing from you guys. This video is going to be out there, so comment, get in touch with Raghu, etc. if there's anything else you'd like to know. Alright, cheers, bye.